if you're not a born evangelist, your story of where God has led you and what He has done in your life sometimes means so much more because you're a real person and you have a real God, and God did amazing things in your life. Welcome back to God's 411. We're going to do something a little different today.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get a lot of questions over and over again.
We get a lot of questions over and over again.
We do. And today we want to tackle one of those questions.
Yes.
We have a lot. We have a lot of people that ask us, first of all, how to evangelize.
Yeah.
Okay. And then their next question is, how do I evangelize or tell my unbelieving friends about Jesus? So we're going to take What?
It's a good question.
It's a really good question. It really is. So today we're going to take a look at that. So hey guys, before we get started, we would love for you to be a part of our God's 411 family. Wouldn't you? Would you?
I would love it.
Okay. So please take a moment and subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell, check the bell for notifications so you see all of our amazing videos first.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people ask us, how do I evangelize? And I will say right out, not everybody's an evangelist.
No.
I mean, not everybody is a Billy Graham.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm not an evangelist. I mean, I don't think I could get up in front of thousands of people and
Right.
start telling people about Jesus. I don't think I could you?
Well, I mean, it's just like any gift of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
I mean, you have maybe one or two, but you don't have all of them.
Right.
And that might not be yours.
Right. Then the question is, how do you evangelize without
Right.
being an evangelist?
Right.
So, Kim,
Yes, Jim.
how would you, you're not an evangelist.
I'm not an evangelist.
You're very shy, you're quiet,
Yeah,
you're reserved.
I'm an introvert.
You're an introvert,
Yeah.
but how then do you how do you tell people about Jesus?
I think my biggest way is my actions in life. I make
Ding,
sure...
ding, 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 ding. Good answer, Kim.
You
win the prize.
It's all in how I cope
Mhm.
with what's going on in my life.
Right.
So I think a lot of times people are afraid to be an evangelist because they're afraid they're going to chase people away.
Yeah.
I think that's what's hard for me is I feel like I'm not going to say the right thing or I'm going to make them freaked out about Jesus.
Or you're going to offend them.
And then, they're going to be like, well, I don't want to have anything to do with that.
So then you don't say anything.
So then I don't say anything.
If you're not a born evangelist, your story of where God has led you and what He has done in your life sometimes means so much more because you're a real person and you have a real God, and God did amazing things in your life.
Yeah.
So just sharing your story is huge.
It's huge.
So the second part of the question that we get a lot of is, how do I evangelize, or how do I tell my unbelieving friends about Jesus?
Yeah.
And I'll share with you something that I learned because we would get a lot of people coming to God's 411 and they would engage in a conversation with me. And so me would try to tell them about Jesus.
Right.
But a lot of times we would just go back and forth and back and forth, and I would say something and they would say something.
Like a debate.
Like a debate, absolutely. So I would get extremely frustrated and almost angry because I could not reach these people, and I really wanted to reach these people for Jesus. Then I came across a verse in Romans that really just it opened my eyes.
Right.
So let me read you this verse in Romans. Okay, so this is Romans 1:18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, whom by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For His invisible attributes, namely His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without an excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Therefore God gave them up in their lust of their hearts to impurity, to dishonoring their bodies among themselves. So what that verse told me is that our unbelieving friends, number one, have suppressed the truth.
Right.
They are basically not willing to listen to you.
Right.
Now they'll debate with you and argue with you and try to prove their point, but they have suppressed the truth. And the second thing that really helped me is then, because they suppressed the truth, and they went after, back then they used the Bible of images and creepy and crawly things, they went after other things like other religions and other,
Right.
Other things. God handed them over to their lusts.
Right.
So this really told me that you're fighting almost an uphill battle.
Right.
They've suppressed the truth, and God has handed them over to their lusts and their desires. Okay, so then the question is, if they've suppressed the truth and God's handed them over to desires, how do you reach these people? Because there's got to be a way to reach them. I mean, and we're talking about loved ones, family, people you guys really care about. Right. So how do you reach them?
It's just like I've had friends before that were just negative.
Yeah.
Negative about everything. Never any joy, never any happiness, never any peace. I didn't want to be with them.
No, why would you want to be like them?
I wanted to be with my friend that was happy and funny and sweet and thoughtful and all the nice things that Christ says. Right. Yeah.
And so that brings up my next point.
Okay.
Well, if you can't tell them about Jesus, they're not willing to listen to you. Like you said, your actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
So, for example, something stressful happens in your life.
Right.
Do you just get as stressed as your friend is?
Right.
Or are you an example of Jesus' peace?
Right.
When someone makes you angry, do you get angry just like your friends get angry? There has to be something different that sets you guys apart. Because what's going to happen then is your friends are going to see your actions on how you handle life, how you handle problems, how you handle everything, right? And they're going to go, I want what you have.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, instead of you telling them about Jesus, they're going to come to you and say, what do you have that's so different? Because whatever it is, I want what you have.
Yeah. I think one big thing we always need to remember, though, is that we're just a tool for God. Mm-hmm. So we can say this, because I used to get the same way, too. I'd be so mad because it's like, you've got to believe me, this is the truth.
Yeah, you're going to hell, you guys, this is it, man.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to save this person.
Yeah.
You've got to remember that it's not, the Holy Spirit has to do the rest of the work.
Right. You plant the seed, and the Holy Spirit
it's gonna
waters and makes it grow.
Yeah.
And people ultimately need Jesus. Jesus set that in us. And people have rejected that truth, so they get rid of it. But their core being is they need Jesus.
Yeah.
And if they see Jesus in you, they are going to want what you have. And that will open up a huge door, and boom, you'll find you're sharing the gospel with them.
Yeah. I think our biggest thing that we need to remember is that we can't condemn people.
No.
We can't judge them.
No.
And the Holy Spirit has to do the work.
Yep.
All we can do is be present, be there,
You plant the seed.
Yeah, you plant the seed.
You don't do the work. I'm sorry, guys, but we might think we're really good and all that and a happy meal, but we just plant seeds.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit does the work.
Yeah.
And we're just blessed enough to be a part of that process.
Yes, absolutely. I'm also, talking about evangelizing and your story, which is very important to people.
Yes.
Jim and I just recently did our stories. You might check those out.
Yeah.
We'll leave the links down below.
Yeah.
Join us next time, and we will see you then. Bye.
Bye, guys.